I'll call on each one individually. Thank you. All right, the next person after Al can raise their hand and I'll call you up. All right, please state your full name and address.
Dr. Al Alba, 24 Eagles Nest Terrace, Narragansett, Rhode Island. Recently, I was able to review the RIDEM parking lot leases for Galilee, which are outside the 5-acre parcel where the Lighthouse Inn is located. One of the parking lots is operated by the state, and the other is being operated by a seafood processing plant company, Yo Plant Incorporated. These two lots are zoned GFI. Lots designated GFI Galilee fishing are to be used exclusively for the fishing trades. Ironically, the fishermen have not even been assigned designated parking spots in any of the parking lot locations, which would enable them to park close to their boats. Why have the parking lots not been designated to the fishermen? Why is the state or the town not allowed to operate the parking lot that is being operated by a seafood processing company, Yo Plant Incorporated? Why the RIDA may contend the parking lots can be used on the lots zone GFI and assert the parking lots are legal non-conforming, then the state or town should be able to operate the lot being operated by Yo Plant Incorporated. While the seafood processing plant may meet the needs of Galilee, why is a street-level parking lot included as part of the deal? In addition, why is the RIDM continuing to lease out 2 of the 3 parcels of the 5-acre parcel after Procaccianti Developers breached the terms of its prior lease by intentionally abandoning its hotel, and the lease has already expired? And not only that, it's Zone GB, Galilee Business, which prevents them from operating parking lots without a special use permit, which they do not have. The RIDM has stated that Procaccianti continue operating the parking lots based on its 1990 lease that has been breached and expired. Since the state of Rhode Island and the town of Narragansett would benefit from parking proceeds, by the RIDM awarding street-level parking to private contractors, the RIDM is violating its fiduciary responsibility to use the land in its best interest for the state, the town, and the commercial fishermen. This is an additional argument to show the RIDM is not working in its fiduciary capacity to manage the leased property in the best interest of the state, the town, or the commercial fishermen, as was one of the objectives stated in the RFP. It clearly states that may the proposals that be submitted be in the best interest of the state, the town, and the commercial fishermen. They are violating their own RFP based on their mismanagement of the leased land. If you and I created an environmental hazard on leased land, would we be able to continue using the land for profit at the loss of the state, town, and commercial fishermen? What motions will you, as our town council, be presenting to direct our town manager and our town solicitor and our enforcement officers, such as our zoning officer and our building inspector, to stop the RIDM from continuing to disregard our town's ordinances in its failure to act in its fiduciary responsibilities to protect not only the interests of the state, but also to protect the interests of the town and our environment? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, who's next? Yep, come on up. Hi, please state your full name and address.
Sherry Carberry, 6 Teal Pond Road. While there is a preemption statute that allows state agencies to overrule the local government statutes, there's a precedent such as Sullivan versus the towns of Coventry and Middletown. The aforementioned case shows the state cannot overturn the city or town's ordinances if such actions are not in the best interest of the city or town. Some have argued under the Brownfield ruling that the state has supremacy over the city and towns, but the courts have ruled there are no absolutes, and the court will rule in favor of the city and towns if the city or town's rule will serve the needs of the greater number of citizens. Therefore, I hope the Narragansett Town Council directs the town solicitor to explore all legal options, such as possibly issuing a cease and desist order to stop Procaccianti Developers from retaining its breached lease for a street-level parking lot on leased land, as the parking lot is not in the best interest in the state, the town, or the commercial fishermen. In Sullivan versus Town of Coventry and Town of Middletown, the Rhode Island DEM was against the Town of Coventry and Middletown, yet the Rhode Island DEM was defeated. If the Rhode Island DEM says, why did you not act before? Inform them you recently became aware of the case precedents where the Rhode Island DEM has been overruled by court actions directed by a city or town. In addition, you became aware of additional case precedents where a state agency cannot act recklessly at the expense of citizens of a city or town. No state agency should allow a private developer to intentionally abandon its building, thereby creating an environmental hazard. The Rhode Island DEM has caused great harm to Galilee and additional harm to our environment. I feel the town of Narragansett needs to make a list of every instance where the Rhode Island DEM has failed its fiduciary responsibilities and ask the state to release the Rhode Island DEM form controlling the leased land in Galilee. The Narragansett Town Council has to reach out and draft a formal letter to our governor and to all the state representatives and senators to tell them they need to do everything in their powers to represent the will of the people of the state of Rhode Island, the town of Narragansett, and the commercial fishermen. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, coming up. Please state your full name and address.
Cheryl Gray Swenson, 70 Inez Street, Narragansett. On tonight's agenda, President Pugh and Councilwoman Kopech are directing our town manager to foreclose on vacant properties with excessively delinquent taxes. If the town council can direct our town manager to foreclose on properties owned by ordinary citizens who do not have $10 billion in investable real estate like Procaccianti and Paolino, then each of our town council members should direct our town solicitor to explore all legal avenues to stop Procaccianti Developers from continuing to operate a parking lot on leased land that is in violation to our town zoning ordinances. Through precedent, it can be noted a parking lot lease to a private developer is not in the best interest of the state, the citizens of the town, and the commercial fishermen, as the private developer is profiting at the loss of the state and town of Narragansett. It should also be argued street-level parking lots are in underutilization of land that fails to support Galilee and all those who visit, work, and live in the area. The land can be much better utilized by many of the ideas the town provided in its mixed-use development proposal and that supports the Galilee comprehensive plan. Therefore, the state supremacy law is not binding that would allow a state agency to violate the town zoning and our town's comprehensive plan. In the Rhode Island General Law 45/24/34, Section B, it notes the city or town is required to enforce zoning that complies with its comprehensive plan. In addition, if it is within our town's legal authority, the town council needs to direct our town manager to have our building inspector inspect the Lighthouse Inn and condemn the property, and summon the RIDEM, Procaccianti, and its representatives into court for Procaccianti Developers intentionally abandoned its hotel and created an environmental hazard. If it is justified for our town council to direct our town manager to go after ordinary citizens who may have missed tax payments due to not having the funds for making tax payments, then why are we not holding a state agency and a $10 billion developer accountable? Our state DEM has allowed a developer to intentionally abandon its hotel, and though its lack of oversight, an environmental hazard has been created by allowing PRIX to intentionally abandon its hotel.
Okay, is there anyone else? Yep, coming up. Please state your full name and address.
Elizabeth Del Ghizo, 102 Riverdale Drive. If we fail to act, we act to fail. David did beat Goliath, but David had to fight back. Let's not have the legacy of this town council be forever remembered for failing to act, and in its inactions has resulted us in creating a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to slip away from us. We do not want two street-level parking lots operated by Procaccianti Developers be a forever memory of our town council's failure to act by exhausting all possible legal options to create a viable development that will revitalize Galilee. Many of this town council were critical of our previous town solicitor for failing to act with regards to the orchestrated deal with a Connecticut developer to operate a marketplace where the new library is being built, and the behind-the-scenes deal to sell the liquor store in an area near the library. Let us not have our residents now be forever critical of this town council and our new town solicitor for failing to take all legal action within its powers to fight the Rhode Island DEM and Procaccianti Developers, so we can utilize the land in Galilee to its utmost potential. In addition, our town council needs to send a letter to the Rhode Island Attorney General's office, our governor, senators, representatives, and tell them the Rhode Island DEM has failed its fiduciary responsibilities in leasing out parking lots to private businesses and its failure to enforce the terms of its lease to Prex, and through the mismanagement has allowed Prex to create an environmental hazard that has hurt our state, town, and commercial fishermen. Street-level parking lots leased out to outside businesses that are being used as stopping grounds to people over to Block Island is only going to hurt our state, town, and the commercial fishermen, and all those who visit, work, and live here in Galilee. And here are some photos of what that hotel looks like. It's such a hazardous waste.
All right, we can take one more.